Hello and welcome to Green and Gold Radio. I'm your host, William Plavin Masters, and today our topic will be the apocalypse, or as it's commonly referred to as Armageddon. As per the usual, I have on my co-host, Mr. Barrett. How are you doing today, Mr. Barrett?
I'm doing great, William Plavin Masters. How are you?
I'm doing good. And then I've got on my two guests today that we're going to do movie talk with. How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing great.
All right, and will you say your full names for the guests?
I am Anderson Soltis, class of 2023.
I am Daniel McNamara. I'm class of 2023. I'm a sophomore, and my favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip.
All right.
All right.
So you guys movie buffs?
Yeah, we both like movies a lot.
Yes,
Yeah?
we spend hours watching them.
Yeah. Is this known by your classmates? Like,
It's known between us.
okay.
It's known, it's known between us.
That's all that matters,
Yeah.
mostly.
There we go. And now it's going to be known to our listeners. So today we're
Oh, no.
talking about the apocalypse. And I think this is a very fitting episode for this year, since it seemed like this planet's going to come to an end soon.
Or at least the planet as we know it.
Or at least the planet as we know it. So to start off, in case you haven't heard, we did some calculations, and apparently this is the year 2012. Now, allow me to elaborate. When in 1500s, I believe, we switched from the Mayan to the Gregorian calendar, we lost about 8 years in the process, since the Mayan calendar accounts for 260 days, whereas the Gregorian calendar accounts for more along the lines of 365. So between then and now, we lost about 8 years worth of time. Now, in that 8 years worth of time, we thought that by 2012, the Mayans meant 2012. But actually, they mean 2020. And this is where it gets interesting. A lot of the things that have happened this year were actually predicted, not only through the Mayan calendar, but through Scripture. Mr. Barrett?
Yeah. Let's consider different pieces of the Bible, whether it, like Jesus discussing or John the Baptist discussing, even if it's not necessarily end times, like days of judgment. And who knows if days of judgment means every day of our lives, or the end of our life, or the end of the earth as we know it. But we see throughout Scripture this looming sense of what theologians would call the eschaton. The eschaton is the end of something as we know it, so that something new could come in and replace it. So on like a lower level of eschatology, as you might call it, like finals week could be referred to as an eschaton, like a really difficult week to get through, while those who study make it. Those who are prepared might do better, but in the end, that time passes into something new. So really, the last couple days in class, we talked about Matthew 25, where Jesus discusses the separation between the sheep and the goats. And the sheep and goats actually don't know how or why they've been separated into such cases. The sheep are like, why are we being saved? For what reasons? And Jesus responds in saying, well, whatever you did for the least of my people, you actually did for me. So when you clothed the naked, and when you gave food to the hungry, drink to the thirsty, visited those imprisoned, cared for the sick. We've got our guys praying hands here. That was great. Anderson and Danny, we're in a prayer pose right here. Maybe they're praying for their own salvation, the salvation of all humankind. Who knows? Jesus' quote there is that whenever you did these things for the least of my people, you're doing for me. And the goats who are surprised that they're among the goats, who knows? Maybe they were kind people, they were nice people, hardworking, successful. I don't know. They may have had reasons to believe that they might be among the sheep. So they challenge back and say, well, why am I not among those saved? Jesus' response is, well, when you did not clothe the naked, you saw the naked and you did not give them clothes. You saw the hungry and you did not give them food. You saw the thirsty and you didn't give them drink. Whatever you did not do for the least of these people, you did not do for me. So Jesus himself appears to give some eschatological views on eschatology, views on what we might call apocalypse. And I don't know if he's actually referring to this Armageddon event, but he does indicate that in some way, in the end, we will be judged. And the world as we know it does and will come to an end. John the Baptist, too. We talked about this in an earlier episode, the separation of the wheat and chaff.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Typically, traditionally, I would see that as, this person's wheat, that person's definitely chaff. But if you know anything from an agricultural society, every grain of wheat has chaff outside of it. And when you remove the chaff from the wheat, you want to save what's good there. But what if a person spent their whole life identifying with their false self, their chaff? Danny just pointed over at Anderson. That was hysterical. I wish people...
Real funny.
I wish people could have seen that. That was really good.
God.
So I guess that's some New Testament stuff for now. We've also got the Book of Revelation.
Absolutely.
And I've only used 2 scripture passages, one with Jesus and another on John the Baptist, but there seems to be much more in Scripture. Should we talk about Revelation?
Absolutely. So this is actually kind of interesting. My grandfather, and I never knew this, was an expert on the Book of Revelation. He almost memorized it, and this kind of shocked me. So while researching this podcast, I actually talked with my mom about it, and we had like this great 2-hour-long conversation all about the Book of Revelation, and I didn't have to do research, so that was really nice. I didn't have to stay up till midnight looking up articles on this. Instead, I could just have an honest conversation.
Which is the most traditional form of research.
Absolutely, yes.
Oral tradition, right?
Oral tradition. So, to start off, Armageddon, or the apocalypse, is called the end of days, and it's the prophesied location for the battle of good and evil, presumably between God and his angels, and Lucifer and the fallen angels. And this is actually kind of interesting because we discussed this in Mr. Kubrak's class a week or 2 ago. And it was an interesting topic because, it's just a fascinating thing to imagine immortal beings almost dull themselves down to battle over something as flawed and mortal as us,
Wow.
It's an interesting thing to kind of think about. You
Yeah.
know? Like, why? Why would you do this?
Why would you humble yourselves in such a way?
Absolutely. So, Revelation 16:16 describes angels pouring out bowls across the earth, which somehow triggers great events of catastrophe, and some terrible, some great, but that was pretty much the extent of the research I actually did. I read literally one sentence, and then I was like, okay, there's got to be an easier way to do this. So the Bible also talks about the separation of the sheep from the goats, like you said, but timeline-wise, that happens after the great battle between good and evil. So it's once the dust has settled that everyone gets separated into their little groups of however they decide,
Fascinating.
Yeah, and I kind of found the timeline of that interesting, So that was pretty cool. So most of these are loose quotes and references, but my grandfather had a list of things that kind of shocked him in Revelation, that kind of really stirred up his imagination, that he enjoyed interpreting and that he enjoyed kind of thinking about and thinking, hey, if this ever happens, I know the end of the world is coming.
Is your grandfather still with us?
He's not.
Don't mind me asking.
You know what? I never got to meet him. But
I'm sorry. Sorry that happened.
No reason to apologize whatsoever. But
how cool that this is continuing on through you, though.
Exactly. You'd
be proud.
He's an interesting dude. He's probably also the reason why I like jazz music. He was a jazz musician. So
really,
as you guys have mentioned, my fedora and overcoat, there's the inspiration for it. Yeah, I love the winter season because I actually get to dress up a little bit.
Kid's got style.
Yes.
Okay, I just have to say something. All this
course.
talk about the end of the world has got me thinking about one song.
Oh, great song.
Nice.
And I feel fine.
Yeah.
6 o'clock TV hour.
When you start forgetting the words, you just goes.
Bare Naked Ladies.
Who?
Was
Wait,
that
what?
Bare
What did you say?
Is that the Bare Naked Ladies?
That's
who
the
sing that?
band.
Oh,
Bare Naked
I was gonna
It might
say,
have
what
been.
are you saying on the Christian podcast?
Yeah, wait a second. I thought this was
What
the
now?
Bible episode.
Yeah.
Isn't he a theology teacher?
It's the band name. Is it? If
No,
I'm
It's
wrong,
by Rem.
oh my god.
Ram. Okay. I don't know a whole lot.
Come on, Mr. Barrett.
So I just got quoted as saying
Fake
bare
fan,
naked
fake
ladies,
fan.
and I
Yeah.
was wrong.
For no reason. They
Oh,
I
got,
feel like
cl-
an
they got a
idiot.
fantastic Christmas album.
I am absolutely clipping that audio too. That's gonna be amazing.
Darn it.
It's gonna be my intro from now on. Have you guys ever listened to The Dollop? That's another podcast I love. No.
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 Is it about
Nope.
sour cream?
No. Oh Lord.
Sorry.
It's an American history podcast. It's
Oh, you told me about this.
Daisy.
yeah, it's funny. And they have their intro is clips from past episodes, and I think I kind of want to do that.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, you know.
Yeah, that would be
cool.
great.
Play some background music to it.
Absolutely.
So one of the first signs of the apocalypse, and I'm not sure exactly the context this goes in, but it says that everyone will get a tattoo on either your forehead or your wrist signifying who you are, a number almost. And I found this interesting because
That's hauntingly
that's-
interesting.
that's what they did in the Holocaust,
Yeah,
you know?
that's
So
exactly what I was thinking.
I heard this and I was like, "Oh, dang. Who's doing that? Which side is going to do that, you know?"
Yeah, and how dehumanizing to reduce someone's capacity, someone's dignity, to a barcode essentially, or
Yeah.
a number. It's even more haunting when you think about common consumerism today that's rampant in our society. Everything's got a barcode. What if humans had barcodes? You know?
What if we do have barcodes?
I know a student. I don't know the student's name. I know he graduated a while ago, but he got a tattoo of a barcode as a joke. I think it's a common theme among
It is.
Some
yeah,
tattoo,
QR
yeah.
codes.
yeah to get them tattooed on your skin. But
What was it? Do you know what it was?
I think it was a pack of Oreos.
Oh Lord! Of all the things to get barcoded onto you, though,
I know.
Were
mean,
they chocolate or vanilla?
It's a great question.
If they are vanilla, that's a sign of insanity.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is the end times.
They were
if you think of
single
it.
stuffed. That would be even worse.
they were peanut butter.
Or
They
the
were-
thins. Have you ever seen a thin?
Nope.
You stole my
Nope.
joke.
I can't do that. I can't mess with the thins. I really can't.
I love thins.
No,
Okay.
it's
I
like
tried
a-
to lose weight
Okay.
once, and Oreo thins were a go-to.
If you get mint Oreo
Okay, that seems
thins-
like you're trying to go
Okay.
halfway.
Okay.
I-
You guys.
Either cut out the
Yeah,
Oreos.
Yeah.
You guys are
Yeah.
gonna hate me. So, what I do, okay, when I'm alone and no one's around,
you
is
just eat the cookies and throw
No.
out the cream.
no,
You just
no,
eat the
that's
cream and
weird.
throw out the
That's
cookies.
weird. I don't do that either. But that I have done that. I get a pack of mint Oreos and I get a pack of peanut butter Oreos,
Oh.
and I take one cookie off of each and I make a peanut butter mint Oreo. And I see your faces. No. It's good. Trust me.
Is it like
Minty
spotted?
nut?
Do you put them over your eyes?
No, no. I
Like
I eat 'em.
cucumbers?
No, I dip it in
Just
some
to
soy
relax.
milk and I eat it, and it's
If you
delicious.
eat that, you are chaff.
Yeah.
Separate the wheat from the chaff.
I am the chaff. Yes.
That's great.
So that,
That's amazing.
to go back to the barcodes, because I don't want to be chaff anymore. You could really think of this because, like, we're putting barcodes on people. Have you guys heard of Neuralink from Elon Musk? Why are you stealing my fedora,
try it
Anderson? Okay,
I'd
sure.
like to try it
okay,
on.
try it on.
Didn't you have lice?
And that
Tears the
noise
hat off
was
his
him
head.
throwing
He didn't
it
have
off.
lice. He doesn't have lice. You can wear it, Anderson.
So anyway, modern day, Elon Musk is developing a Neuralink. You know, he's developing.
I don't know
shit-
about this.
Oh,
Tell me.
yeah. So Elon Musk, my idol, he's incredible, is developing a chip that can either go into your arm or into your brain, and it's not only to stream music, but to give you access to the entire internet remotely. And so
Jeez.
it would completely
See-
eliminate
You
phones.
see
or
what's gonna happen
computers.
with that though?
What?
He's gonna say one day, just execute Order 66.
Oh.
And then it's gonna be over
Ah.
for
That's a
everyone.
Star Wars
And then he
reference,
controls
isn't it?
the
Yeah.
entire
Thank
world.
you, movie buff number one.
Yes. Movie buff number 1. Oh my god.
Movie buff number 2 is not doing anything.
He's just chilling. He's chilling, handing out disses whenever
He's
someone
also
messes
movie
up.
buff number one.
Exactly.
We
You
have
gotta
two-
wait until they make a mistake, then strike.
Yeah. We have
So,
two
yeah.
new movie buff number ones. Didn't mean to put you guys in order. Sorry, William. Continue.
Again with the
seen the,
dehumanizing numbers.
Have you seen the clip from
Oh,
Cat
Lord.
in the Hat? It's with Thing 1 and Thing 2. And it's literally, so he says Thing 1, and then he goes to Thing 2, and he gives them all these different names.
Oh.
Oh, I have to pull up the clip. It's the funniest thing you'll ever hear.
All right.
I love it.
So in the meantime, this Neuralink that he's creating would essentially categorize humans and
Jeez.
kind of do exactly what this is. So I took that as the first sign of the apocalypse. And it was kind of just interesting to see this and be like, whoa, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's disturbing. I wonder if he works with a privatized company.
He has his own privatized company. Yeah, he's a goat.
And I wonder if
Well,
something.
not literally. You know what I mean. Like greatest
Yeah,
of all
sheep and
time.
goat?
The acronym GOAT.
He's not a
Okay,
Chad.
he's not among the goats.
Not among the goats.
Day of Judgment.
Yeah, no.
Now I wonder if his private company could in any way affect public policy, because when a child is born, there's much to do with the public system. You know, taking a birth certificate and having a social security number. I wonder if that would then be part of the process. And I wonder if there would be any issues with mixing the private sector for his business and the public order of doing things. I don't know. How do we feel? Let's get a vote. Thumbs up or thumbs down for this idea?
Thumbs
For
down.
Neuralink?
Yeah.
I can see the benefits of both sides, but like generally I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like I want to have photo math in my eye, but like I also don't want to have my head blown off remotely. So
Good point.
you know, it balances out, you know?
Execute order 60s.
There could be a mute button
come back.
on certain people.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I
nice.
want to do that sometimes. I definitely want to do that.
I bet people want to mute me. Go ahead, Danny.
No,
What you
no.
got?
He was leaning forward
I was
for a
gonna
roast.
say, I know some people I'd want to mute right now.
Oh, you know, I have some people I can mute right now by pressing this button right here. Danny,
Which
why
one
don't-
is it? Who is it? It's not
Danny,
me.
why don't you talk into your mic? Yeah, so yeah, remember that I have this keyboard right here.
I've got the clip from Cat in the Hat now.
All right, play it. Play it in the mic. Let's do this.
Thing 1, comrade Sally, thing 1. Thing 2, comrade Sally, thing 2. Thing 1, thing 2, thing 2, thing 1, comrade Sally, comrade, I am the cat. Yes, of course. Thing 2 would like to clarify that just because he wears the number 2 does not imply in any way that he's inferior to thing 1. I'm none of the above. He says feel free to call him thing A if you like. You will also accept Super Thing, Thing King, Kid Dynamite, Chocolate Thunder.
That's awesome.
And then he ends with and Ben.
And
Okay.
Ben.
That's exactly what I had in mind when I
Yeah.
accidentally called Danny movie buff number 2.
Yes. All right,
Sorry,
let's
Danny.
vote. Should we all call Danny Ben from now on?
We're calling him Chocolate Thunder.
Chocolate Thunder. Okay.
Cool.
So
Are you all right with that, Danny?
I'll change it on my birth certificate.
oh, let's go. Okay. So the second sign of the apocalypse, as due to my grandfather, was a cashless society. And I'm not sure if any of you have heard of this, but apparently there's part of the Bible where they say towards the day of judgment, currency will be done away with, or something along those lines, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I found that kind of interesting because that's the way society's moving, you know?
CASHLESS. Cashless.
Yeah.
That's what you said?
Yes, a cashless society. Oh, what, did I sound like I said something else?
No, I was just clarifying.
Yeah, no, like tangible currency less. Like there's none of it. And instead it goes off of credits. Now, I find this interesting because have any of you guys like seen the coin shortage? And if, for those of you listening, I'm doing quotation marks. And like
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So, just to put a little perspective on that, the US makes like 1.7 billion coins per year. So like a shortage on them isn't really a thing.
Yeah.
Like to put that in perspective even, because I know a lot of listeners, a lot of people in general misconceptualize a million with a billion. A million seconds is a week and a half. A billion seconds is 31 and a half years.
What?
That's the difference between a million and a billion.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you. So think of that next time you think of Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, I fell into the category of misconceptualizing a million versus a billion.
Yeah.
And you're
big
telling me that
difference.
there's a coin shortage in a nation that produces how much coin currency per year?
About 1.7 billion individual coins. Now, this is interesting. What is Chocolate Thunder doing? Oh, Chocolate Thunder's heading
You
out.
gotta go.
Danny, you gotta
bowing
go
out.
home, man?
He's
See ya,
dipping
buddy.
on us. All right.
See you, Danny.
He said toodles to all of our listeners. He
All right.
tripped over his headphone, by the way. That was
Oh,
pretty
Lord.
funny.
Yeah, he really messed up right there.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is there's not a coin shortage. And this is, in fact, a way for us to transition more into credit currency instead of coin currency.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So, like, because a coin shortage would be virtually impossible, you know?
Yeah.
Like, 1.7 billion per year. And it was an article that I was reading the other day. And, like, how do you run out of that? Like, not to
Yeah.
mention all of the ones that we already have, billions
Yeah.
upon like, you don't just run out like this. There's
Right.
not just like a dude named Steve in his basement with billions of coins.
Give me the coins.
His name's Carl, actually.
His name is Mario. and
His name is-
He's
Luigi.
a personal friend of mine.
I'm saying, no. I'm sorry. His name is Chocolate Thunder, and he
Chocolate
just
Thunder.
dipped. So, this is fascinating because this is another way in which we're actually transferring to this currency. And if you really think of it, it's fascinating because if you use monetary currency, unless there's like a physical tracker on it, it can't really be tracked, you know?
Yeah.
I'd like to
But,
add
like-
something.
Of course.
I feel the reason why they're saying there's a national coin shortage is because less and less people feel the need to have coins.
Mm.
Right.
They literally just say keep the change or something like that. They don't really ask for coins back anymore.
Mm.
Exactly.
I feel like that's why that everybody's saying this,
Yeah.
even though we've got billions upon billions of coins.
Of course, and this is another further example of us transitioning more into this credit-based currency.
Mm.
And another advantageous thing about having like solid currency is it can't be tracked, like I was mentioning before. But credits can. Like if you use your credit card, the instant you swipe that card, anyone who has that information knows exactly where you were, what you were buying, what your name is, your date. Like all of your information is stored in that little card. You know?
Yeah.
So, like,
it's stamped.
It brings to the question, is that another barcode on our lives?
Oh my gosh.
Is that another way of them just tracking us, you know? Is
Wow.
anything really secret these days anymore?
What if what if a question? Who are you? Who am I? You know, what if we're in a cynical way of saying, if you want to know who I am, look to my credit history, look to my shopping history.
Yeah.
In a consumer culture, it defines who I am.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. That's what a cynic would. a
If you
cynic of
really
this
want to know who
situation.
someone is, look through
realist, not the cynic.
if you really want to look and see who someone is, look through their browser history.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Burn those files real quick.
that- and Anderson just picked up his tablet and is now burning his files. Yeah, no.
I mean, all my friends and I, if we need to exchange money, like when I was in high school, we'd exchange cash. But now we're all on Venmo, and it's as if nothing happens. It's the click of the thumb, just like my thumb would click my phone for a text.
Yeah.
You know, I could transfer money right now through my phone, which is in my pocket, which is a computer on my body.
Which has more power than the Apollo moon launch.
Jeez.
Like, can you imagine? You have more power in your pocket than they had going to the moon.
That's crazy.
Just
And what do I use my phone for? Fantasy football.
fantasy football.
That's it.
Ba-da-dun, ba-da-dun, dun, dun, dun.
Let's
That
go.
was Smash Bros, not ESPN. So,
Fooled me.
yeah. So,
I don't play fantasy football, so I'd have no idea.
Yeah.
yeah, I get my butt whooped every year in fantasy football.
I
Although-
snuck my way into semifinal this week. Hoping to be in the finals this time next week.
The tragic thing is that last week was the Browns versus Ravens game.
Mm-hmm.
By now, it's probably 2 weeks ago, listeners. And I had the Baltimore's defense, I had the Baltimore's kicker, and Nick Chubb, who all scored a collective 50 points, and I lost.
And you still lost?
I lost to my father, who...
Oh, no.
It's the word... Like, afterwards, he also texted me, "Who's your daddy?" And I said...
My dad
Okay.
still uses that line just
Oh,
to
God.
put me in my place.
Who's your daddy now?
It's just the most savage thing. 'Cause you can't say anything
Can't
back
say
to that.
anything.
You can say nothing back to that,
Don't
especially
literally respond, you know?
until
You are?
basketball season. Until
Till
basketball season.
basketball season.
Where I'm undefeated for the past 2 seasons. So I'm ready. I am absolutely ready.
I will reject that league invite because I'm not trying to get whooped.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Oh,
Now, signs
Jinx
of the
again.
apocalypse.
signs of the apocalypse. Yeah, I think we got a little offhand here.
It's fine.
Hornets.
Hornets.
Hornets. The sound of yeah, Anderson. Murder hornets.
Wait, say that again?
Murder hornets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Murder hornets.
Yeah.
Murder hornets.
Yet another thing that this year has given us, you know? So hornets. They also spoke of the hum of hornets, not necessarily hornets themselves. So I should have elaborated there a little bit. So,
You're
okay.
trying to, but I accidentally interrupted you.
It's fine. Yeah, exactly. So, like, okay, where's my phone? So, like, there's a difference between actually knowing that it's hornets and misconceptualizing. And I believe that a lot of ancient history is misconceptualized. So, what I mean by that is imagine, okay, driving a car in the 1600s.
Jeez.
You would be thought of as a god. You have a vehicle, you have this thing, you know, you have this titanium monster, you have this titanium beast, you know,
Yeah.
you'd be thought of as more than human. So, like, imagine hearing a buzz, having divine inspiration, you know, as a lot of the authors in the Bible did. Imagine having divine inspiration and it's just a buzz, you know? So, imagine that you are a person living in either the 1600s or back before technological advances, and you hear a deep humming. Now, what's the first thing that's going to come to mind? Mr. Barrett, what do you think?
Somebody cool's coming down the road. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm a 16th century person. I think at the end, I think that something catastrophic would be happening.
I would honestly just think of cicadas
Mm-hmm.
because they were still around back then.
Exactly. Cicadas, locusts, and murder hornets were the three things that made the biggest noise back in that time.
Huh.
So, if you
And
really...
this year,
oh, my God.
because they were
and this
talking
year.
about how like 3 billion cicadas were going to come out of the ground or something.
Jeez.
They're going to be zombie cicadas. Or they're
I mean,
gonna,
I'm used
they're
to
gonna
2
breathe
billion
fire or something.
in the Cleveland area every fall and late summer, but 3 billion? Jeez.
That's another 32 years worth of cicadas.
Yeah.
So anyway, after that little insect rant, if you really think about it, the hum and buzz of these insects sounds incredibly similar to a helicopter. So if God had given an ancient person an image of a helicopter coming down to Earth as a prediction of Armageddon, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference between that and hornets or that and cicadas.
Wow.
So they would interpret it as an insect, while actually it's a giant machine. So, like, this could, if you're going to take it the literal point of view, it's already happened in the form of murder hornets. But if you take it more as a figurative point of view, it could still happen as in widespread military action coming from helicopters. Now, I know that's quite a stretch, and that's my
fascinating.
interpretation, but
It's fascinating.
it's something totally viable, in my opinion.
You think back to the United States using weapons of mass destruction against Japan. That's no light or laughing matter.
No.
And I think that from an American perspective, the first thing we do is immediately get defensive. Well, we had to do that to win the war. I watched a documentary on survivors of that attack, and I couldn't sleep that night. It was so disturbing. If you think of the 1960s, 1960s, right, with the Cold War.
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
Our world has been on the brink of nuclear holocaust in the past.
Yeah. We have enough nuclear missiles to destroy the planet 600 times over.
That's terrifying.
It's very terrifying.
And I think at its deepest core, Armageddon seems almost less some divine intervention and more humanity destroying itself.
Absolutely.
You know?
There are many ways in which humans have inevitably sealed our fate, if you will. Not only through destroying the only place that we can call home, but through creating our own virtual mousetrap. Such as people like Albert Einstein have said, well, I don't know what weapons World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. And mouse would never make a mousetrap. It's stupid. but humans made the atomic bomb.
Yeah.
We're creating weapons simply to kill ourselves, and you really have to wonder why. Why do we do these things? Is it just human nature, or is it something else? You know,
This absurd sense of hyper protection, this fear at the core. I don't know.
And if you really think about it, there are a lot of other things in the Bible that are described, and in Mayan culture in specific. I know I mentioned it earlier, but the Mayan calendar predicted a lot of things going on. You know, they predicted atomic bombs. I don't know if this is a very well-known thing, but they predicted the atomic bomb. They drew it out on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they drew out a mushroom cloud 1,500 years before anybody even had an inkling of this.
Wow.
So that brings to question, were past civilizations more advanced? And I feel like that's a question for another episode, because this is already a long one, because this is such good subject matter. But, you know, it brings the question, you know, were they more advanced than we think of? So there's another sign, and there are really two more signs, split into two different signs. And it's the dead rising. And this is really a common theme throughout the Bible I was finding last night while I was going through USCCB. There are a lot of mentions of this, and it's not just related to Jesus' second coming. It's related to just people just literally getting out of their graves and saying, you know, hey, can I get a cup of coffee? Or something like that, you know, in modern day. Not obviously, that's not. I don't think they had coffee back then, did they?
That's a great research question for tonight.
That's a great research question for tonight. So there are many accounts of this. John chapter 5, verses 28 through 29. Do not be amazed at this, because the hour is coming in which all who are in the tombs will hear his voice and will come out. Those who have done good deeds to the resurrection of life, but those who have done wicked deeds to the resurrection of condemnation. And it's a scary thing, because when you really think about it, humans are split up into two things, the physical and the mental. And when we die, at least in the Bible, it says that our mental goes to God. So what happens when what happens to our physical? And I understand that, like, scientifically it just degrades, but
Disappear.
Does it disappear? So, like, what really happens to that second part of us, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like this is another talking point. Like, this episode is so widespread. This could lead to so many other talking points and so many other episodes that when we come back from break, I'm just going to have so many home runs on this. This is going to be amazing. But, like, another verse, for example, Daniel 12, 2 and 3. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, others to reproach and everlasting disgrace. But those with insight shall shine brightly like the splendor of the firmament, and those who led the many to justice shall be like the stars forever. And we all come from stardust, in the words of Neil deGrasse Tyson. We all come from stardust. We all come from some other form of matter. So is this a way of saying we'll return to that form of matter? Or is this a way of saying that we will physically come back? Or will we physically just become something else?
It's fascinating. One of my favorite things about studying theology is that we ask questions that lead to better questions.
Absolutely.
Maybe not even answers. Maybe the answer is not the end goal, but the whole process of wrestling with what's in front of us is the point. And I can admit, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I do trust that all created things eventually return to their creator, or what they were created from, at the very least. I guess a side note on the book of Revelation and Daniel, they fit into a literary form in Scripture called apocalyptic literature.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, and I remember learning in college that apocalyptic literature is not so much like a prediction of what's to come, but it's more so it's typically always written by an oppressed community. So, for example, Revelation was written for the Christian community oppressed by the Roman Empire. And it's not so much a prediction of what would happen or what will happen, but what needs to happen for God to intervene to save us from this oppression. which is not, that doesn't necessarily mean we throw, and Daniel fits into that too, apocalyptic literature. That doesn't mean that we throw it out of the window, but I think it does even speak closer to us and where we're at. Look around at the world, the suffering and oppression that we see. What needs to intervene in order for it to end?
And in some cases, if I may, I mean, and I don't like to be the pessimist here, but for the furtherment of the rest of the world, what it seems to be is the end of mankind. That is what really will cause the rest of the world to continue living. Because I don't see an eventuality in which mankind doesn't continue to be selfish, doesn't continue to be greedy, doesn't continue to destroy the planet. I don't see an eventuality in which we can coexist with the rest of the world. So it's either we do get our act straight and we overthrow the people who are in power and we actually rise up and fix the world, or we end it. And maybe there is something out there looking over us who will intervene at the last minute and say, hey, I gotta stop this. I gotta stop these people from destroying the rest of the world. And maybe not, you know? Maybe we'll just eventually peter out like most other civilizations.
You could be a Star Wars character, William.
Thank you, I guess.
Absolutely.
Great compliment.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's total rebel talk you have against the Empire.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like,
for the sake of the universe.
If I may plug it real quick, I'm actually thinking about writing a book and all about this kind of stuff, you know? Because, like, I have my best thoughts when I'm on 2 melatonin gummies before nighttime.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that legal?
Yeah, they just make you go to bed.
Oh.
Melatonin is all natural.
It's a natural thing. Trust me,
Okay.
I don't do the non-legal stuff.
I'm
Trust me.
just messing with you.
Yeah, no, it's completely legal. But, like, it makes me really tired, and I think best when I'm tired. So I've started a journal on my phone and just recording and cataloging all of the insane ideas that I've had. And I've gone back, and I'm like, I don't remember saying that. What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just, like, exhausted. Just when I'm absolutely exhausted. So, yeah. Thinking about starting a book with that stuff. I don't know, though. It might be interesting. So the last thing that I have is a quote from the Corinthians, all right? And it's...
Wait, was there another sign of the apocalypse we didn't cover?
No, this is the last thing.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's all good. Behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all fall asleep, but we will all be changed. In an instant, in the blink of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound. The death will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For that which is corruptible must clothe itself with incorruptibility, and that which is mortal must clothe itself with immortality. Death is swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. I found that to be a rather foreboding thing, but also kind of relieving at once, because we are mortal and we shall go to the immortal, like the soul. So,
and where, O death, is your sting? That's Paul discussing the effects of the resurrection of Christ.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, before we go to movie talk...
Come on.
Before we go to movie talk, I think, how do you guys think the world's going to end?
Well, to refer back to that song that Anderson played,
it's the end of the world as we know it.
I think that there's a double meaning to that lyric. It's the end of the world as we know it. In a sense, it's the end of the world as we know it means that it's like a grammatical structure. Like, we know that this is the end of the world. Or it's structured grammatically to signify it's the end of the world as we know the world.
Absolutely.
So I think, I don't know, I feel like my world has ended in the past. The world that I had once known. There have been different events in my life that have brought endings to the world as I knew it. That might be a frustrating answer. So, the end of the world, I think the end of the world would involve some fingerprint of humanity itself.
Absolutely.
It's almost like saying Voldemort. It's almost stuff that I don't want to even speak.
Yeah.
because it's so threatening and terrifying to consider.
Yeah. So yeah, Anderson, how do you think the world will end?
Do you want how I think it will end or how I want it to end?
Both.
Yeah, let's do both.
So, how I think it would end? I don't think it would like end.
Yeah.
I think there'd be like a cultural reset, basically.
Interesting.
So
Like
like
Noah's flood type deal.
a
A cultural reset.
cultural reset. So basically, you know, you'd think Noah, like Mr. Bear just said. I think, you know, everybody might need a new fresh start. I'm not saying this like it's gonna end this year. Like if it were to end this year, I feel like it'd be for the better,
Huh.
not for the worse.
Like Happy Gilmore. Get me out of here.
Whoa, very nice. But I feel like with all the toxic stuff that's happening right now in the world and all the craziness that's been going on, I feel like we just need like a mouthwash sort of thing. You
Yeah.
know? Take a swig of that mouthwash and then you feel minty fine. Now, how I want it to end, zombie apocalypse. Come on.
Yeah. Yes.
Everybody thinks about the zombie apocalypse.
Anderson, do you remember when COVID first started and we all went remote? And I texted like 30 people from Ed's and said, in the eventuality of a zombie apocalypse, we all meet up at Ed's and we freaking ride the wave together. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be awesome. I've got the key if you guys want to invite old Mr. Barrett. In the case of
Absolutely.
that.
We talked about that yesterday, actually.
Yeah, we did. I'd be there.
Yeah. End of the world, zombie apocalypse.
Speaking of zombie apocalypse,
Speaking of zombie
that's what the
apocalypse.
movie's about.
That's what the movie's about. That's a perfect segue. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Wait, can I add 2 more answers?
Yes.
Nuclear holocaust.
Wow. Just throwing that out
Yeah.
there.
We got to, like, you just think of the planet.
Dinosaurs
Like,
come back.
Dinosaurs come back. The sun's a star, and all stars eventually die.
Yeah, I feel like humanity will be long extinct by the time our star dies, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
You know, if sun were to explode
Chickens
right
will
now
rule.
or just go away, it would take 8 minutes for us to realize because it's that far away.
Wow. Could have exploded 7 minutes
Mind
ago,
blown.
Anderson. Sorry.
That's
Movie
crazy.
time.
Yeah, movie time.
Movie.
Let's go to the show.
Do it.
All right, let me pull this up.
So the movie that you had me watch over last night and then I stayed up till midnight watching was on Netflix. It was called Cargo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
CARGO.
yeah, like a cargo train or something.
All right,
That-
we're gonna have to make this quick. My mom just texted me; she's outside.
No.
So
Oh, no.
We'll
We've
make
had you
this
wait
quick.
this whole time?
yeah. All right. So this is the description that Google gives it. Stranded in rural Australia in the aftermath of a violent pandemic, an infected father desperately searches for a new home for his infant child and a means to protect her from his own changing nature.
This is nonfiction, right?
Yeah.
and I remember it, and it was like his wife got bit.
Yeah,
while
so
she was gonna
this-
go get some wine
This is how
or
it
something.
starts off. It starts off with them already past this. It's already happened, and you know they're on a boat traveling down a river, right?
Yeah.
And throughout this, they've been just surviving. They're low on rations. They find a crashed boat, and they gather stuff from there. The wife goes back to get more stuff, looking for a razor for her husband, and she ends up getting bit there.
Wah, wah.
Womp womp.
So
A big fail.
yeah, very fast they go to try to find help. They try to find a hospital. They can't find it. They've been driving for a while, and they get in a crash because they see a zombie, right?
Yeah.
And throughout the whole movie, there's no mention of zombie. There's no mention of like a walker from like The Walking Dead. It's just they have no name basically.
They're just there.
Yeah.
You know?
And you see one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's terrifying.
Oh, they have a terrifying imagery too.
Yeah, it's like honey over their face.
It's like
and eyes.
crust. It's like
Yeah.
crusted and it's weird.
I gotta look this up.
And then like when they get into the car crash,
Mhm.
she bites him.
Yeah, because he passes out and she's already done transforming. So she bites
Yikes.
him, and then he puts on the bracelet that they've given to everybody.
48
so that,
hours.
Yeah, it takes 48 hours for them to change into a zombie. And throughout the whole movie, he's trying to find help for his daughter because he knows he's not going to make it. And he meets this girl, this young girl, and she helps him find sanctuary for him. But he turns as soon as they get there, basically. He's full zombie by the time he's there.
Man, he went full zombie.
Yeah. And it's a sad story for him, but at the end, it's like a sign of hope because, you know, all the people there are healthy, fine, and his daughter gets a new life, even though both her parents are gone.
Yeah, I thought like there was going to be a turn at the end of the movie and it was going to like end up with a good ending, you know, or something. And then it was just savage and I was like, whoa, back it up. It was the whole thing was just sad.
Okay, my mom is just texting me.
That's all good.
So, what I'd give this movie, I think it's a really good watch. It's like an hour and 50 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. The cinematography is amazing in it. I think it's fine. It's got large sweeping shots. It's beautiful. It's sort of like a handheld field.
Yeah.
But I feel like the movie does a good job at showing what an apocalypse actually does to somebody.
Absolutely.
From
yeah.
other cultures. I mean, other movies too.
Yeah.
And it's cool that it's set not in America where most are.
Right.
So I'm watching the trailer and it's really scary.
So on the Anderson scale, 1 to 5, how do you rate it?
I was going to do 1 out of 10.
Oh, 1 out of 10. Let's do it. 1 out of 10.
I would honestly give this 7.9.
That's a good rating.
I think it's a good rating. I love the cinematography. I love the acting. I love the actors in it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, it's a sad movie, too.
Yeah.
It's sad. But I think it's a good watch.
Absolutely.
For a zombie apocalypse movie that's more realistic than others.
I absolutely agree with your assessment. Well, thank you so much, Anderson.
Yep.
This has been Movie Talk,
All right.
and thanks for coming on.
Oh, no problem.
Let's do this again.
Yep.
So, this has been Green and Gold Radio Apocalypse Edition. I'm your host, William Plavin Masters, here with my co-host,
Mr. Barrett.
and we're signing off for today. Thanks for watching.